Hey, hello everyone. Oh yeah, the audience is quite small now. You are definitely tired. So guys, I'm so happy to be able to share a bit of my thoughts and experiences with Kubota, but not only that. I will share with you the story of Kubota, which started in 90s. And then it developed, and then it was closed and reactivated after a while. So during the both periods of being active, Kubota has learned a lot from the business perspective, and I learned a lot from Kubota for the last 3 years when I'm with them. But also I got experiences from all the other places I worked with. I worked as an independent consultant. I had my own business. I worked for big consulting companies, so for big FMCG companies around the world. And these experiences brought me to some conclusions. And what I will try to share with you, based on Kubota's history, some thoughts on what works, what doesn't work. It doesn't mean I have all the knowledge and whatever I say is 100% sure, 100% applicable, but at least will give you a hint of what might or might not work. Because one of my favorite words is being pragmatic, which means seeing a goal and doing your best to achieve the goal. All right, so not to waste time, I'll start with the 90s. I mean, the story was quite... again, I didn't see who knows Kubota. I mean, raise your hand. Well, it's not that bad. More or less, what the study shows is 70% of brand recognition in Poland, of course. And it started in a very simple way at the beginning of the 90s. In 1991, Wiesław Michalski, the founder of Kubota, went to China for a trip to see the big wall and stuff, the Great Wall, right? So he ended up with a group of Polish people. They arrived to China, they went to a hotel, and then regrouped. And what he saw is that no one from the Polish group was trying to see anything in China, to go to the Great Wall, to see any monuments, nothing. All of them went straight to the bazaar, the closest, that was over there. And they're just packing everything to the big bags they had with them. And they didn't bring anything to China, just to be able to collect whatever was accessible over there in China, put it to the bags, bring back to Poland, and sell it straight away. And he understood that this is the way the Polish economy will grow. So what he did the next time, he brought bigger bags, empty, packed everything he could, and he was going back and forth and making shit tons of money from the journeys to China. Because, you know, the early 90s, after 1989, like you could have anything, produce anything, or bring anything, everything was easy to sell. It was just the time like that, right? So what happens, he was building up by bringing everything, and in 1994, he came up with the idea of focusing on one product, which was the famous slides. Just to be precise, they are not flip-flops. Flip-flops are Havaianas. You know Havaianas? These are flip-flops. We sell slides. Slide sandals. We have to be precise. It's like, of course I'm kidding, it doesn't matter. Everybody will understand. So coming back to the story. So Wiesław took first slides to Poland and started selling them, the Velcro ones, right? Velcro, you know? And there was nothing like that in Poland at the time. So he started to build up his empire because it was so huge. He was selling hundreds of thousands every year. It was just 3 colors. Of course, like Poland was with 3 colors. Easy, black, gray, and dark blue, and that's it, right? And he was selling all over the place. He focused on distribution, so it was on every bazaar across the country, and he was selling like hell up until late 90s. Guess what changed? The big brands, big malls started to appear one by one in Poland. So everybody was willing to buy something else. Polish was not good. not fun. And it was cheap and considered low quality, even though the Velcro ones, I have friends who have the Velcros bought in the 90s and they are still operational, let's call it like that, all right? So what happened then is the company started to decline because of the big brands, because of the new trends, because of whatever is happening with the market started to become saturated, all right? And you couldn't just think of what to do to break it and to be able to sustain. So in early 2000, Kubota just died. As simple as that, like many other companies across Poland. So there were like hundreds, thousands of companies in Poland that started with a big bang at the beginning of the 90s and then collapsed after a few years because it was so difficult to maintain, especially that there was no history of business, of doing business in Poland. So no one knew what to do to keep it up and running and be competitive with the big brands because everybody could now join the market. So what happened, and there was a few years of break, and in 2018, when the situation changed, four friends, early 30s or even late 20s, decided to reactivate. They are from Łódź, and Kubota was also from Łódź, so they decided to reactivate the brand because there was a trend, the new trend, uprising the brand, all the brands that were connected to the 90s and 80s, and it was fun because everybody could go to CCC or any other store and buy Nikes for like a small price, relatively small price. So having Nikes or Adidas wasn't anything special. So especially young people started to look for something new. And there was another trend that allowed the company to be reactivated and be pretty successful after 2 or 3 years. So what happened then is after, there is a trend that lifts you up big time. But then there comes a question, how to keep it? How to keep the brand running? How to keep the company running after a big startup? So after the first and second stage, what's next? And this is where strategy comes to place. Like Wiesław and his wife, Dorota, in the 90s, didn't have an idea because there was no history of doing proper business in Poland. They didn't have a chance to approach this properly. The friends, the new owners of Kubota had an idea because that requires building a strategy. So there are few people, experienced people hired at the time, approximately 3-4 years ago. Wow, I was one of them, to build up the strategy for Kubota. And strategy is about the few principles that work every single time. Marketing changes. We know exactly that there are trends, the way people communicate, customer needs. These things change, but there are a few marketing strategy principles that are always the same, and they work whenever it's now or 10 years ago or 50 years ago. And I have a question for you. Does anyone recognize this book? Yeah, I really wanted to call you a liar, but I didn't have a chance. Just one person, seriously. This is, second, whew. But like out of all those people, it's not too much. So, well, this is called the Bible for marketing, either like 15 editions across the years. First, it appeared in the 60s by the famous economist, American economist. And there's a lot about marketing. This one is from 1999. This is from my studies. There are a few new ones and updated, But again, when you read it, no matter which edition you have, the basic stuff is always the same. And it comes to answering a few super simple questions, but they are simple at the first glance. But when you think of them properly, it requires time. And that's called strategy. So strategy answers, I'll take the flip chart. Yeah, I'll do it the old-fashioned way, right? No presentations. See, I had too many PowerPoints in my life. So the strategy is about simple questions. What? Oh, you got one. Oh, you got one. Oh. Ah, red one. Red one. So, the first question is, where are we? Sami. The other one is, who are we? Right? What kind of company? So what's the situation right here, right now? What do we have? What assets we have? What kind of product we want to sell? Right? This is the first question. The second question, sorry for my handwriting. Where are we going to? Right? What do we want to achieve with the business we have? Sorry for that. So what's the way? How? With what means are we going to get there? There's three questions, okay? This is the additional one. How do we know we got there? Right? This is also quite an important one, but not the critical one. This is about the KPIs and the way we measure the journey along the way. So basically, we are here, we want to be there, and you know what? I mean, these are super simple. It even somehow can feel cliche. Right? It's obvious, right? Everybody knows that. But when you think of your strategy, can you really answer those questions properly, in a very specific way, the way you can measure, and the way the entire business will understand? That's like, you know, whenever you try to crack something, you always start from top to bottom. So from the more general questions or aspects, and then go down and granulate it. So here comes the marketing. Marketing will help you answer your critical questions, the strategy questions. First, next questions. Yeah. The first one, what's the product, right? The second one, how are we gonna distribute it? How we make it accessible for our clients? The third one, how are we going to communicate it? I mean, so I need to be a little bit more precise. So what's the actions we're gonna take to sell it? And then, for how much? So, does it remind you of the 4P? Anyone knows 4P? Like, this is a bloody principle of all marketing and all strategy making, right? These are 4 most important questions you need to ask yourself. What are you selling? The product. Where? The channels. How are you going to promote it? How do you make the customer buy it? And how expensive it's going to be. So this is 4P. And it is somehow related to the questions I put on the table before. And then, this is 4P. First principle, the other. Who is our client? Did we segment our market in a way that is understandable? And we really defined who are we selling our product or service to? All right? I'll stop with that, not to flood you with any more questions. And here, what's the difficulty in that? Why does it take so long to build a strategy? This is not something you can come up with in one sitting with your friend over 1 or 2 beers. This is something you really need to focus and put effort in defining what exactly answers to these questions are. Because it's all about consistency. To build your core in your business, the answers to these questions have to be consistent. So if I'm selling something that is super pricey, I need to make sure that the customer it's sold to is defined the proper way, with the proper purchase power, for example. Or you use the channels that are really adjusted to that customer. Or you promote it in a way that is convincing to the customer. And you need to make sure that the product will meet their needs. So it's also all about the customer needs. And I want to come back to Kubota and in the 90s. It's like what happened? I mean, all business was focused on distribution, right? The product was quite unique. This unique selling proposition, I'll come to that later. So these 2 points were taken care of properly. There was no promotion. Price was irrelevant because it was quite cheap. It was everywhere. But at the same time, it could be replaced by other brands. And there was no idea how to deal with the upcoming trends, how to fight it, how to promote it in the way or use the resources to make Kubota competitive to the customers. That's why it failed. And for Kubota now, after 2018, after 3 years of boom and these a lot of marketing activities and being everywhere in the media, especially social media, and the buzz, you really had to look down to these and see what exactly we are selling and how we promote it and for what price to be long-term competitive. Because you cannot be a meme brand for a long time. It's just a trend. You really need to build the core, and this is the core, right? And the last part I want to mention here is have you heard of this term? Yeah. So what's the competitive advantage? Why would your customer buy you over any other competitor? And this is where you find answers to this, or maybe a combination of those. But at the end of the day, all of this has to be super consistent. And that's my second favorite word, after being pragmatic, is being consistent. And that's the most difficult thing to do. Most of you probably went through colleges or universities or any other thing. So whatever you learned, like writing your thesis, was about building a story that is consistent in all its stages. So one thing is related to another and is logical with all your ideas that you put across the entire document. So with the strategy is the same. The most important part is to make the strategy that is consistent with answering all those questions. It doesn't mean you will 100% succeed when you come up with some ideas and make them consistent. But this is increasing your probability that the business will succeed. And this is what happened with Kubota in the last year. We really defined what we're selling, who we're selling to, that we don't want to be anymore connected to bazaar kind of vibe, to be a meme brand. We want to be a brand that is associated with the values, the brand that's associated with quality, and with the good quality-price ratio, and that we are specific in the way we communicate, the way we introduce new products to the market, and that people really desire us because of what we represent, not just because we are cheap, funny slides. I don't know. I have zero idea. We good? All right, guys. I could talk about a lot. This is one of my favorite topics. So, guys, if you have any questions, because we don't have too much time. So, if there is anything I can answer, or any funny story, or to tell you more about Kubota or not Kubota or anything else, I'm open.
Now you should say why the cloud.
Sorry?
Oh yeah. Now you should explain.
The cloud.
Why the cloud?
The cloud. Yeah. Well, you know there. Yeah. The cloud. Yeah. Well, we had to go through rebranding, and there are several reasons for that, right? We have a really nice explaining video that tells you the entire story behind the rebranding. Yeah, but as a person responsible for marketing, I should be able to answer that coherently, right? Do you know it wasn't my idea with this? I tell you what. All right. I mean, this is very important because the association behind Kubota, there are certain values, and comfort is one of the most important one. And the cloud is related to comfort and chill, right? We are against the corporate way of living, and we have a really nice saying in Polish. I'll try to find the proper. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound so great because it's a dirty word in Polish. We are against the hard work. In Polish, it sounds like sprzeciw wobec kultury zapierdolu. Oh. And I couldn't translate it properly. So, yeah, well, that's one thing. The other thing is the part that comes from the old logo. That comes it's not rectangle specifically, but with the cloud. So there is a reference. When it comes to the size of the logo is also related to that. But it's not just about the logo. The change is about everything, every part of visual identity of the company. So yeah, we had to change that to really say goodbye to the old bazaar 90s meme brand. So we wanted to be like a serious one, but not too serious in terms of the values that we present to our customers. Yeah, off stage I can tell you more stories about, but I'm not sure. Thank you. Any other questions? Please.
Yeah. What would you recommend if the budget for marketing will be zero or close to zero?
Partnerships. It's all about finding partnerships. So like Kubota had zero, like the negative balance at the beginning. So many struggles at the beginning when it comes to money. And all the marketing was viral and cooperations with other brands and people that found it funny, interesting, with a good vibe and good values. So Kubota used the trends at the beginning with zero marketing budget. But it's all about knowing people, trying to cooperate, give them your work, your vibe, your willingness to connect together and build synergy of two brands. That's... Sorry? True. Because it's all about your effort and cooperation and teamwork with others that find you interesting, but you need to make them interested in your brand. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much.